let's dig into an example. Let's go over a process with your pick of the week. And this is one that we've discussed a few times. I would call this one a pandemic darling, and that is Zoom Video Communications, ticker symbol ZM. AJ, what's the play you're seeing in Zoom?
Well, I am looking for Zoom to tell me that it has bottomed. So take a look at this chart. Now, I want to emphasize something. We had Serge on about 3 episodes ago. He's just a great peer of mine. And he said something that I have been echoing in my workshops with my program participants, which is make sure you're not just trying to trade a chart. And I actually have been emphasizing that in some of my, I like to work with my program participants. I'll call them and we'll work over charts. We'll do some coaching sessions over that. And whenever a program participant gets into the focus of just looking at the chart and they can't answer my basic questions about the company and what's happening around that chart, the sector, I kind of give them a ding. I'm like, you're falling into the habit of thinking that the chart dictates it all. So on this show, I want to emphasize that we've looked at Zoom, the company. We've looked at Zoom using, we give everybody in our program kind of a checkbox where you've looked at analyst estimates, you've looked at news headlines, you've looked at the company description, you've looked at insider trading, things like that. And so we've actually done all that behind the scenes before we even think about looking at the chart. We've created for ourselves a visual avatar of what the investor is. In fact, we're using AI now more than ever, where we'll describe to something like Midjourney what our avatar for who would be the typical investor drawn to Zoom. And Midjourney takes our thoughts that we've prompted it with, and it draws these amazingly lifelike pictures for us that we can then have in our mind. So every time we're thinking of trading Zoom one way or another, we can picture the other person on the computer who would be either creating the buying or selling signals for us, right? Because what we do is we ride on the coattails of these investors, right? So with that said, we're waiting to see that Zoom investors find that Zoom has bottomed and start buying. If I go back over, say, a 1-year chart on Zoom, you can see that Zoom has been in this sideways range between about $62 and $72, something like that. If I come back now to about a 6-month chart, we're coming down to that lowest range, which in the past has caused some buying. And so this is getting ready for us to have that opportunity to get in at the lowest price possible for Zoom. So we would think about SIP buying the stock, which in this case, Zoom's a little bit on the expensive side. So, and when we're talking about option strategies, we do need to buy these in increments of 100 shares. So, you're talking about one increment of 100 shares costing about $6,200. But one of the other things that we like to do here is use a substitute option. Now, beginning option traders often make a mistake in that they think any call option could work as a substitute option. And sadly, they'll buy some call options and then it won't behave the way that stock does. In other words, the stock price goes up in price and their option that they chose goes sideways or even goes down, and they can't understand why that's happening. And that's because calls don't all act the same. A near term at the money call will not act the same as a 6-month out of the money, or a more than 8-month out, deep, very deep in the money option. So if we're going to want to substitute Zoom stock with an option, you almost want to go out even as far as like May or June of next year for your expiration date. So let's look at May, and then you're going to wind up going actually pretty deep in the money. like this 35 or this 40 strike price call. And you can see here at the bid and the ask that the market makers are actually in there, and you could probably get a very good price. There's liquidity. They're ready to trade with you. So you don't have to worry so much about, if I place an order for this option, will my order actually get filled, or will there be no sellers? It totally looks like they're ready to do business with you. And so, I could pay $62.40 a share for the stock, or for less than half price, I could buy this option. And this particular option, far out in time, deep in the money, will behave like the stock. So I could see myself buying some of these 40 May 2024 call options when I get the signal. When I get the signal that a bottom has been found. And that might be a great thing to do.
All right, so that's the setup for Zoom. Keeping an eye on it. Maybe we'll just make a note to. When do you think that signal would come in? The next week or two, or you don't even know? It could just fall
I
through the
don't know. In
cracks.
fact, one thing one thing I see also is that people don't back test and forward test their signals. So and they oversimplify their signals. They'll be like, I'm just going to trade on a moving average crossing. And as you can see here, this is a filtered moving average crossing. And you can see that within a day, it was reversed. One of the things I teach my folks to do is have a primary signal, whatever it is you choose. And usually that's verified through back testing, where we have the hindsight. We can tell where the tops and bottoms were because we can see them. Whereas in real-time trading or paper trading, you never really know you've seen a bottom or a top until it's a few days behind you. So you use back testing to determine what your primary indicator is. But when you get your primary indicator, don't stop there. Look for validating indicators. And on the day that you want to place the trade, make sure everything is going in the direction you suspect. So when we got this signal that a bottom had been found on September 29th, and we usually get our signals end of day, so been the evening after the market closed. So we came in on October 2nd, which was the Monday this past week, 2 weeks ago, and we realized that things were not going our way on October 2nd. So we didn't place the trade. And we said, we'll try again tomorrow. On October 3rd, we looked at it, and we during the trading day of October 3rd, we realized that still things were not going our way. That bottom signal from the primary indicator on September 29th wasn't actually panning out. And on the evening of October 3rd, we got a reversal signal saying, okay, psych, I wouldn't try to place this trade right now because I think I'm going to go a little bit lower. So I urge folks who are trading indicators to have a primary indicator, but then also use validation and day of trading follow through. Make sure all the stars are aligned before you actually transact.